Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. This week in the mailbag, one viewer asks, does Caleb Wiley have a lower ceiling than George Bello? Also, is Noah Cobb going to keep Stian Gregerson out of the team for a while? We're getting all that and more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5 Star Fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael. And Atlanta United, they drew the Philadelphia Union 2-2, the only undefeated team left in MLS, and we unfortunately kind of wet the bed a little bit. We had the lead and kind of pissed it away, to go along with this metaphor. But yes, before we get into the match review, yes, massive shouts out to the Patreon members, and especially Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, and Chris. You guys are legends. Join us there. We have some very, very tasty things that we are cooking up. Maybe breaking down some video, maybe some stat breakdowns as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But anyway, so into the match review, and LA United at the Benz. I mean, we're still undefeated there. It's, still somewhat of a fortress. We just cannot let ourselves be complacent and let teams back in like this. This definitely felt like a loss for a lot of people. It, not quite soul crushing, but a little bit in the effect that it's like, okay, can we not do this in the future? Because this feeling not so good. Doesn't really excite a lot of people. Like we prefer, we probably prefer the other way around, where if we came back, and was able to draw this 2-2. But what would you think? I mean, it's like, those like late minute heroics, from yesteryear, or this feeling.
I think I prefer this feeling, and it pains me to say that because it is so painful. However, I think that what this kind of game indicates, the way we played, I think that it shows that we're a team that can dominate good teams, at least at home, and basically conduct a game to our will. And that is a very good thing. That's a very good position to be in, when you can have Philadelphia come to you and you just run them over, essentially. Of course, we, like you said, pissed the bed in this game, but for 75% of that game, we were in the driver's seat. Philadelphia looked beaten and battered, and against a good team, that's what you want to see. Whereas in years past, you talk about how we had to come clawing back. That's not exactly the same type of feeling. You have we're trying to get back into the game. Who knows if we'll do it? It requires heroics. Heroics are extremely variable things that happen in the game that you cannot rely on. Whereas the system we employed against Philadelphia, if we can continue pulling off something like that, that's a system that can run teams off the pitch. And I think if Mascara didn't hit that hospital ball, it wouldn't have given Philadelphia motivation to try to get something from this game. We would have probably put a third one in and put this team to bed. Unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. I don't think Mascara is always going to hit that ball. I don't think we're going to have that same type of problem very often going forward when we play this way. And so I would rather be, in the driver's seat winning games like we should have with this one. Let's be real, Philadelphia got lucky with us gifting them a goal. And that jump-started their whole resurgence. So without that, I think we would have just dunked on them, and we wouldn't even be talking about this. It would have been like 2-0, moving on to the next team. So I think I'd rather be here if and only if we continue to play like this and beat teams and, be in the driver's seat and not have to claw back games and hope for heroics, because I'm sick of hoping. I just want to come into a game and go, okay, we got this. We're in the driver's seat. We're in control.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it's definitely more sustainable from this end than a late inning heroics, if you will, going with that metaphor. But it is also going into this match. Not many of us had this as a win, that's for sure. And for us to be 2-0 up, but also, yeah, I mean, my prediction was us drawing 2-2, and so I mean, while it was spot on, I didn't think it would be in this fashion. So I was very pleasantly surprised in the way and manner in which we actually played. The performance actually for most of the match was largely positive, very good. Especially when you are down to your third choice striker, and your defense is as makeshift as it can be, with two players that have not really played together very much at all in Luis Abram and Noah Cobb. And I think arguably, they looked pretty good and weren't really at fault for too much in the match. I think what's great, I think, is Daniel Rios getting his debut goal with us, which, his first goal. He scored 5 goals against the Philly Union in his most recent 2 MLS matches. Of course, he had played for Nashville SC and Charlotte FC before that, so he knows this team, and I think that's a positive. That he knows the league, and he knows the rigors. He knows what each team is generally about. That definitely is helpful. If he's played against some of these defenses before, having him as a third choice ain't too bad. Especially how well he took this. It was just a dime of a ball from Thiago Almada. Just as well as you could place it. And Daniel Rios, he got himself into a really, really good position in the box where he was essentially unmarked. He had somebody next to him, but that thing just dropped on his head. He just had to head it back to where it came from, essentially. And he was able to beat Andre Blake. But poor Andre Blake.
Let's be real that having a striker that can reliably and consistently beat a keeper like Andre Blake, who we have had such trouble beating in the past, that's massive. So
maybe Daniel Rios is the antidote to Andre Blake in that. He's the way to beat him somehow, just because of the way he plays.
It's his bad luck charm, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it is this because Andre Blake is a player, is a goalkeeper that is very good at shot stopping. But if you just take that equation away with pretty much a point blank header, not many keepers are going to stop that. So you basically take that that shot stopping ability out of the equation, and so that's probably like
Andre had to go out this game too.
Exactly.
Because of the bad luck. Bad luck, Rios.
Could be, but and it's odd that he goes out and then we concede, but and then we're never
apparently we can't score on the backup goalie, which I thought was ridiculous.
Yeah,
with all those shots Thiago was taking, I was like, one of these has got to go in against a backup keeper, and then of course they're all shot right at him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the positioning's pretty decent, and so that's that's part of it. But they're also they're shot right in the middle of goal a little bit. So that unfortunately is a bit of the rub here, where it's likely why we weren't able to find ultimately the winner. But our second goal though, oh my lord, just come on down, Caleb Wiley, take a bow. What a strike. I initially thought inside the stadium that it was deflected. No, it was just so well hit that it bounced on the ground before it hit the back of the net. But Caleb Wiley with this freaking laser, and Thiago Almada kind of a back pass, not really like creating something. It's more just like, okay, let's recycle the ball. Let's get us out of a little bit of trouble here. But Caleb Wiley found that space. He had the wherewithal to know that he should shoot probably, and there was that opening. And to beat the goalkeeper at the near post, oof. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't even get any sort of, like Wiley's goal didn't get any recognition for MLS Goal of the Week at all. But, it's because it wasn't like a, just a straight line, screamer that's, never hit the ground, all that type of stuff. But, I mean, I don't think, to my recollection, anybody hit it from as far as he did. So
no. And he's 19.
And he's 19. 9 freaking teen. But it's definitely, after 63 minutes, 2-0 up, we're thinking, oh, okay, against this Philly side, we're golden. This should be good. No. Because pretty much shortly after that, we do make some substitutions again, and I feel like it unsettles the team a little bit. And I get it.
That is a pattern. It does seem to be a little bit of a pattern that we have trouble readjusting to when the new subs come in. Either we talk about game speed, it's just whatever it is, they have to figure that out, because I'm starting to see a bit of a trend when we get subs on, we start to look a little more vulnerable.
Right. And, with even just the makeshift lineup that we had going into the game, Tyler Wolff on the left side, Sean Da Silva wasn't able to start. And at times, Saba, he kind of drifted into other areas. So, I think it didn't make it where it was just completely anemic on one side or the other. But, oh man, I mean, it's just like, the Mosquera back pass, we mentioned on the live post-match fan reactions, I mean, game state really matters here, where he's not at game speed, he gives it away. Brad Guzan couldn't really do anything about it. I mean, he tried to come out, but then he backpedaled because he realized he couldn't really, do anything about it. And then it was just like a really monster shot at that point, because you just have a gaping net. So, it's pretty much at that point, if Yuri didn't miss, or I mean, if he did miss, then it's like, okay, wow, like, you're terrible. But it's at this point though, like that's where, okay, that's, and then plus the foul throw in, which some people are saying a whole number of things. Some people are saying, oh well, a little bit of the toe was on it. Some people are saying that VAR can't check it because that wasn't called as well. There's a number of things that are frustrating, because these refs are being paid more now, and you have the picture of it where the linesman is staring at the foot and doing nothing, doing absolutely nothing. But if you wanna see me argue with Andrew Wiebe on Twitter or X about this, that's MW_ATL UTD fan TV. Yeah, he's usually the guy with the Cheez-Its, kind of instant replay, where he's reviewing the quote-unquote bad calls from the refs. And, I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't know if it's like, it's baffling, the argument from Andrew Wiebe. But, it's, he's not, it's not partial, obviously, but, and, obviously we are partial, but, I mean, just looking at it, it's just like, like, it's as frustrating as it gets from, a ref standpoint, when it's, okay, something that maybe is left to interpretation or something is the argument there, but is it really though? you know, there is a pretty cut and dry part of it as well. That you know, like if you're, you know what? It's just I'm not even.
It boils down. It's really quickly summated by like.
Yeah.
He thinks, and a lot of people think this way, that there are just kind of two categories of rules in MLS. They are not all the same. They are not all adjudicated the same either. In that, in one category, these are rules that you can adjudicate down to the millimeter or centimeter to find whether someone was onside or offside, things like this, or they'll get really specific. And then they'll be like, with those types of rules, it's okay to be very specific, and we should, be granular and examine everything. And then there's some other rules where they're like, we don't really need to. It's not really that important. It's kind of against the quote-unquote spirit of the game to be too granular for other rules. So, it's like selective nitpickiness. And so, like, I was like that. I don't think there should be selective nitpickiness, but some people do. They're like, don't get all upset about a potential possible illegal throw-in. No, we should be worrying about whether or not the Philadelphia player was offside. And then like that was down to like a centimeter or whatever. And I think it was actually nine inches when some guy on Twitter posted like he did some kind of like photo analysis or something like that. But either way, I just don't think there should be two classes. I have a dream where one day all rules are the same. So maybe one day that'll be come to fruition.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't want to compare you to a civil rights leader, but yeah. Hey,
this is Atlanta. It's fine.
Yeah, right. But in terms of any of that, though, it's all I'm asking is for consistency, and that's the problem. Is that we got blown a whistle for a foul throw earlier in the match, and so yeah, like if you're calling that, well then call it both on both sides. So it's that's the frustrating bit, is that there's just not the case for it, just being consistent from match to match, minute to minute, and it's a question of why, why can these refs not call it fair? But yeah, anyway, later on, so yeah, it's like they do get the equalizer, and my God, it's just it's the gut punch of gut punches here, where you're feeling, yeah, just like, how did we let them back in? I mean, it was a pretty physical match, I would say. That kind of made it where maybe the scoreline ultimately does make sense to a degree, where okay, yeah, I think while we could have won it, they did have some really good chances too, and so it's the later on chances were obviously the best chances, but earlier in the match a little bit too, they did kind of threaten, where yeah, I was a little bit like, okay, yep. It's I think the draw is fair at the end of the day. It's just how it happened, and the way it happened, that's the part that hurts the most. But Pineda saying after the match that the second goal conceded was due to a lapse of concentration to press highly, and on the goalkeeper leaving passing options exposed, and that team mentality.
Sorry, 1 second. I just want to say, 142 games in MLS for Kai Wagner. Mm-hmm. How many goals has he scored? Do you know?
I do not, but probably not many. He's a fullback.
5 goals.
Yeah.
5 goals.
And this was a really well-taken goal, though. I mean,
just decided to randomly have at it, and boy, was it a good shot. It just sucks when you get beat by just a random happenstance kind of. Like, we decide not to immediately close down on a guy who never scores, and then of course he scores. So
right, which
screw us, I guess.
Right, and you can slightly understand why he wasn't closed down fully at like full speed, but it is. I mean, take nothing away from the strike. It's unbeatable. I mean, basically, or not unbeatable, but unstoppable. It's basically Guzan had no chance. It's completely out of his reach. So, yeah, but it's the whole lapse of concentration. It's like, okay, yeah, we see this time and time again. We pretty much switch off a lot, and you can't do that at this level. You can't do that in the box. You can't do that on any player in the box. And yeah, when we score 2, we should be able to win, I would say.
Yeah.
And the fact is that we are just still a little soft at times, allowing other teams to kind of get back into matches. But he did mention that the team played well overall, pleased with Wiley. Abram had a great game, quote-unquote, and speaks highly of Schließ as well. That's according to the press. But I think something that I wanted to highlight that maybe we haven't talked about and haven't seen anybody else talk about is Noah Cobb and him possibly being able to keep Stian Gregerson out for a while. Obviously he is coming back from a surgery and an injury, but Noah Cobb had a really good match here. Yes, is he a player that is maybe as good on the ball as Stian Gregerson, as good in the air as Stian Gregerson, maybe as pacey as him? No, but I think he's had a very solid set of starts where we haven't missed that much from a defensive standpoint. It's I think these goals were not his fault. And so, while it still is always on the team and the team collective to play team defense, I think Cobb individually had a really good game. And, I don't think we're, at least with him against the top team, we weren't missing that much. And, you have the intangibles of a Gregerson that, maybe will help you win some other games down the line. But Noah Cobb has been impressive. And we've seen this from him in the preseason. But I think, he deserves his flowers. He's a player that, with obviously more development, this homegrown could develop into a real player for Atlanta United. So definitely very...
And he was like an inch away from stopping the Yuri shot too.
Yeah.
He came sliding in like a half a second too late to stop it.
Yeah. And honestly, it's like the fact that he was that close to even because when it was that bad of a hospital ball and the ball or the net was gaping that much, it's incredible. But I think large in part XG says it, where 2.1 for us, 1.8 for the Union. We won the possession battle, but I mean, it's just large in part. It still was, kind of a back and forth match to a degree, and we were. This is the thing too. It's like, okay, 13 shots isn't that bad, largely, but it still is, I think, a little bit more than I prefer on a general basis. Like if we can really keep teams to under 10, we're cooking. And I think most of the teams, if at home, they're not going to be scoring too much. So if we just trust that our attack, maybe not just trust, but if we develop both ends of the ball there, I think we can really make this where this no longer becomes a problem. But yep. Anyway, so LA United, they return back to the Benz against FC Cincy, and we will have that preview later on for you in the show. But let's get into the news. And yes, the Eastern Conference, it looks like this, where Inter Miami are up top. They're leading with 15 points. They're tied with New York Red Bulls at 15, but just a little bit in terms of the delineating factors keep them in second. Philly are in third, and Columbus, Cincy kind of round out that top 5, where we are coming in at 6th, with Charlotte surprisingly right behind us. So yeah, that Dean Smith effect is taking heat a little bit, and they have a pretty decent start to the season. But in terms of MLS and the new initiatives that are being implemented this weekend, there are 3 of them. The injured players who are down for 15 seconds must leave the field and remain off the field for 2 minutes. That is very, very detrimental if you are a player that shithouses. But sub players.
Why couldn't they put this in before we played Philadelphia?
I know, right? Yeah, they're exactly the type of team that does this. Because something we didn't speak about really this time, we did kind of talk about it in the fan reactions, was that Jose Martinez should have been sent off. But it's one of those things where that would have probably, because that was before the goals, maybe would have changed the game like completely. Where
probably.
They probably didn't really have a chance, and we would have tore them a new one because. Yeah.
And Jose Martinez is a good player, so without him, that would have been really bad with them.
Oh, exactly. So, as well, sub players have 10 seconds to leave. Otherwise, new player must wait 60 seconds to enter. No more clapping the entire stadium, high-fiving every single player on the field, and hugging everybody, or passing along the captain's armband, all that type of stuff. Yeah, you just gotta get the hell off. So, okay, all right. And then in-stadium VAR announcements, which, okay, I like it. That bit where it's, okay, NFL has been doing it for a minute in terms of instant replay and kind of refs having to talk about that. So, if it's that, because I'm not sure exactly if that's what they mean, but if the ref has to talk to the entire stadium, oh boy, that could be really spicy. And I like it. They should have that pressure on them a little bit. They already have massive pressure in it, and pretty intense pressure anyway, but I mean, it's something that they need to be held accountable for a lot of their decisions. So, yep. It's definitely part of it. But yeah, any of those that maybe you're opposed to.
I want to see a little bit how it plays out first before I have a hard feeling about any of these. I've heard some controversy about specifically around like the 2-minute one, but we'll see. I want to wait a little bit and reserve my opinion before I have like a hard position about those.
Because 2 minutes does seem pretty harsh for a player that, okay, maybe he legitimately actually had a head injury, but then now you're like, okay, so it might increase the number of hard fouls, and then you're a team that is able to play that advantage for 2 whole minutes. Like, that could be pretty, kind of like double jeopardy in a way, where a player gets injured and then they're legitimately injured and they're off for 2 minutes, and you have to play with 10 men or more. Who knows? Like that. Yeah. It's there's so many scenarios where I feel like there's some very smart players.
Do you know if during that time that let's say they get hit, they're down, and they don't get up in time, and they go out, and then they actually are like kind of legitimately injured, and they're not sure they can continue, and they go out to the sideline. If they're sitting on that sideline and they decide, actually, no, I don't, or the medical people say, no, this player can't continue, while they're still out, can they be they can slate themselves to be subbed at that point?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think they were talking about kind of a concussion type of sub at some point. I don't think that is still the case as a rule that will be implemented, but I would feel like that would be, obviously those type of things that are important. Maybe a leg injury, those type of things. If it's serious enough, obviously, they should signal that, okay, like this is serious. I cannot continue. And I think, players that are like legitimately injured, usually anyway, they will immediately signal to the bench. So, there is that.
Yeah, I think there'll be more. I think there'll be more of that now. So like, there'll be more. I'm legitimately injured. Come on, let's go. Versus, someone they just get up pretty much immediately, which is probably the intended effect of the whole change. So we'll see.
Yeah, indeed. But as well, I think something that was interesting was that the Philly Union players, Kyle Wagner, Bedoya, Gazdag, McGlynn, Sullivan, and Julian Carranza have all been fined. The club, the manager, they all got mass confrontation warnings for swarming the referee at the end of the match. So, well deserved.
It's not Philly without something like this.
I know, right? And it pretty much exemplifies, like, okay. While it was not consistent from the refs on both sides, we were not the only side that felt aggrieved. So, it is probably vindication a little bit, unfortunately, but that's highly annoying. But also, haha, for you Union fans and players club, all that. But anyway, so next bit of news is that it's been 10 years since Atlanta got the word that they were getting an MLS team. And amazing. I mean, April 16th, 2014. It feels like a whirlwind. But yeah, insane that it's already been 10 years since that announcement. And here's to 10 more years. But obviously some incredible things have happened since then. I mean, it's just amazing. And so definitely, with the MLS Cup, bringing the first championship since the 95 World Series from the Atlanta Braves to Atlanta, definitely has been incredible. And more and more trophies, obviously, since then. But hopefully some more in our future, because we're tired of not winning trophies. Let's keep winning things. But next bit of news is that Caleb Wiley, he was awarded a place on the MLS Team of the Match Day for that long-range goal. Definitely well-deserved there. And basically, that just makes sense. But also, vice chairman and of the AMB Sports and Entertainment, Steve Cannon, he announced that he will retire from the organization at the end of June. And basically one of Arthur Blank's kind of right-hand man. And he was definitely an integral part in the creation of Atlanta United. So definitely wish him the best in retirement. But any thoughts on pretty much all of the news so far?
Not really. Keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, cool. So Atlanta United 2, they fell unfortunately to the Philadelphia Union 5-0, unfortunately, at Fifth Third Bank Stadium on Monday night. And Academy defender Caden Moore made his professional debut with his appearance in the starting lineup. I think the more you pull from the twos for the first team match, the more the twos are going to be a little bit very, very weak. And unfortunately, I think that's kind of the case here. So, I think results don't really, again, matter too much at the twos. But, yeah, 5-0 is still a pretty ugly scoreline. Last bit of news, though, and this is very, very intriguing, is that former Atlanta United head coach Gabriel Heinze, he is being rumored to join Mikel Arteta's coaching staff at Arsenal, and but he also has first-team head coach offers from around the world too. But this kind of plays a little double whammy here in terms of it's interesting for me being an Arsenal fan, and it's like, do I want Heinze anywhere near their Arsenal team? No. But apparently they're very good friends because they both played together at PSG. They talk on a consistent basis apparently. Heinze, he has some very spicy methods, as we know, with holding water. There's the whole stories about him not being too amicable around players, and what was it? No, like, days off. Like, they were restricted how many days that they got. It was like they were saying, like, oh, we commonly get like this many days after a game or something like this. And Heinz is like, no, none of that. Back to work. Right. Like, definitely seems like a more strict type of guy, and not really a modern type of coach. I think that showed when he was here, and that there was a lot of people that were amazed at his methods, and not in a good way. And so, super interesting. I mean, Heinze, hopefully you do not go anywhere near Arsenal, but you can get another first team head coach job, please. Someone take a flyer on him in Argentina. But that definitely is reading for very, very troublesome news, at least for me, because Fabrizio Romano also reported that. So, it's not, there's a level of it that is probably pretty true. So, any thoughts on that, Michael? Can imagine.
If you're an Atlanta United fan, maybe a more recent Atlanta United fan, you don't know what the Watergate controversy was with Gabriel Heinze, I suggest you look it up on Google. It's a wild ride.
Yeah, man. It's there's some he said, she said, but man, it's like, why would people lie?
And the fact that Doe Robertson recently was, like, I saw him on Twitter. Someone asked him a question about Heinze and about, like, his media availability and his warmness towards the media. Doug was like, no, he was completely not warm at all. He was extremely, like, putting words in Doug's mouth, but, like, he was obtuse. He didn't want to talk with us too much. So the media weren't too keen on him either.
Yeah. Which, I mean, not every head coach is going to be that way either. I mean, it's pretty much probably the least favorite part of their job, I'm sure. But, I think that's something that we can appreciate about Gonzalo Pineda, is that, he's pretty amicable with the press. And that's probably a big part of it, is that he is a spokesperson for the club in a pretty positive way. But, all right, but anyway, that is the news, and it gets us into the mailbag, and you guys send in these questions through IG story and also Discord, and please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. But, first question from Josh Cohen fan says, rumors of a new left back coming in during the summer in the early season. Now moving closer to mid-season, what positions should we develop on, or what players should we sell? Interesting question.
You want to take this first while I think about
it? Sure. So, I mean, the rumors of a new left back, I mean, obviously we, sent on loan Aidan McFadden. Now that really leaves us with only one player at the fullback position to really be the understudy, and that's Ronald Hernandez. But in terms of what we need to develop, yeah, we need to develop, fullbacks for sure from the organization to really help fill up the coffers. I think we're pretty solid in midfield with Ajani Fortune, with Ashton Gordon up top as well as a forward, as a striker. We have some options coming from either the academy or the twos that could help. Now, in terms of midseason, yeah, we absolutely need to make this a priority in terms of fullback because, yeah, God forbid, one of them goes down. Well, now we don't have really anybody that can, be the understudy. And in terms of players we should sell, depends on who actually has value to other teams because obviously, we should drop a contract in the sense of Derek Etienne Jr. But in terms of sell, obviously a lot of these players just came in or are coming in from the academy. There's not many players that I would say are at that level of, we need to get rid. Do you feel like there's a player that's, you would urgently sell?
Urgently, no, I don't think we're there yet. But we are getting close to perhaps a nice Caleb Wiley time. So, one of our Discord chatters was talking about, Well, yeah,
that question. We'll get to that question if
okay.
That's what you're referring to. But yes, yeah. And you know what? Let's handle it.
So
there.
Caleb Wiley probably is the closest, but I don't think we're there quite yet.
Right. Because Lancillo Green, he asked in our Discord, he wrote, "All right, I'm going to choose violence. Even though Caleb Wiley is starting for the club right now, I think he has a limited ceiling. If you want me to be truly honest, I think George Bello, before he got promoted to the first team, had a way higher ceiling than Wiley ever had. I think it would be in Atlanta's best interest to sell him before he reaches that point. All that to say, I am not very high on Caleb Wiley like a lot of people are." Super duper interesting take. I think something that's delving into that. We kind of did a little stat comparison because it was very intriguing of a take. That we had to kind of look at it because from the offset or the outset of that, with the recency bias aside, Caleb Wiley seems like a player that's maybe does have that higher upside because George Bello, he did go to a Bundesliga 2 side in Armin Bielefeld. It was maybe something that was a little underwhelming of a move, and in terms of transfer mark, as far as how much stock you put into that, I don't put a ton of stock into it, but we obviously sold for around 4 mil. He is now worth only about 1.3, if I recall correctly, and so Caleb Wiley right now is, I think, worth, was it about 4?
5. He's sitting at 5.
Yeah, and so obviously it's at different age points right now. Bello's at 22, Caleb Wiley's 19, but we did compare their 2 full seasons when they were teenagers, and George Bello was 19 in 2021, played 2,400 minutes, and Caleb Wiley played 2,300 minutes. Of course, a little bit where Wiley, he also played as a forward a little bit, but Bello maybe at times played as a left midfielder, but both pretty much were playing left back. And the eye test says this, as far as how I read it, is that George Bello was the better dribbler, was the player that's was a better crosser, maybe a slightly better passer, but Caleb Wiley was and is the pacier player, better defensively, definitely a lot more feisty, and definitely presses with a lot more intensity. And I think, in the on I guess in open space, he is far more dangerous and clinical than George Bello was in front of goal. And so, definitely, I think those were the differences. But then, you look at the stats a little bit, and the stat test shows that there is this little aspect where, George Bello, I think he would find himself in a lot more scoring positions, but he wasn't able to maybe be as clinical and have the final third actions to get on the stat sheet. But I think the most interesting bit was that when their time was on the pitch, that the team's success, as according to FBref.com, it said that they had wildly different, maybe not wildly, but like pretty, like one's in a positive essentially, plus 3 or plus 0.3 in terms of plus minus 90. And that's goals scored minus goals allowed by the team while the player was on the pitch per 90 minutes played, while Caleb Wiley is only at 0.04. And then the kind of on-off is wildly different at 0.3 and a negative 1.4. All that kind of like, math mumbo-jumbo is just basically saying that the team was a little bit more successful when George Bello was on the pitch than Caleb Wiley in roughly the same amount of minutes, which is very interesting because the 2021 team is not a really good team. Like they weren't exactly a picture of success, I would say. And while 2023 we weren't exactly world beaters, we were definitely a slightly better team, I would say, than the 2021 side. But I think that's what's very interesting is that those, I think, our start maybe to the season in 2023 maybe has something to do with this. And we really only picked it up after the summer transfer window. That's when we were like way more dangerous because we had the decent start to the beginning of the season, and then we had that lull where winning matches was hard to come by. But so maybe that was the factor. But in terms of answering his question here, that Caleb Wiley has a limited ceiling. It's also this, I think, like Wiley, I think physically, from that standpoint, is a monster at fullback. From the pace, he's continually getting stronger. His power is definitely increasing by the game, I would say. So it's also 5'11" player versus a 5'7" player. It's I think the ceiling is probably a lot higher. So at least from that physical standpoint. Now, from a playing on the ball standpoint, yes, Caleb Wiley I think has some room for growth to get to where Bello, he was consistently beating his man on the dribble, and so I would say it's a little bit of a wash at this point because it depends on what team would go in for him and what they value versus exactly kind of apples to apples here. But they're both fullbacks, but depends on what type of fullback that you want for your team. So, but what were your thoughts on this?
I think that I think they're very similar in terms of like, when you look at their stats, a lot of, like you said, it becomes a bit of a wash. However, you can see the different kind of personality of player and what the coach is wanting the player to do. we just had very different playing strategies with Bello than we do with Caleb Wiley, at least right now. And we're a high press team that really values counter pressing. Right when we lose the ball or the other team is being loose with it in their own half, we attack, we put pressure, we go after them. And Caleb's great at that. His pressure, tackles, interceptions, shots, blocking, all that kind of stuff that happens in the opponent's third is significantly better than Bello's. And that just goes to show his ability to counter press is something that this team this is one of their DNA pieces, whereas the other team with George Bello, not as much. So like you said, a team that would value more a traditional left back, that would be George Bello would be fine at that. And a team that's the way we play right now with a high counter press, Caleb excels at that. And so that's why you see it come out in the stats. In some areas, he's overweighted in that and being very good at that, and then versus not as good as some of the other things that George Bello can do as a more traditional left back. So like you said, it is what you want in a fullback. However, for my money and what I want Atlanta United to do with him, I think we need to say that he is the pick for us if we were going to have to make a decision between these two players and who would do better on our team right now. I would say Caleb Wiley. It just fits with the way we play better. And I guess in terms of potential, it's still early. It's hard to tell. Bello kind of fizzled out a bit. I am not sure Wiley will do that, but we're not going to be able to tell. Basically, all you can do is look at previous stats and comparable ages from different seasons and see how do they match up. And like we kind of already went over, they're just different style of player. So it really is just what you want in the player.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, next question comes from Connor28 Leagues Cup Guru. Asks, more just general question, what team across all of MLS has y'all's most worries so far? For me, I feel the scariest teams are Philly and the Red Bulls since they're so good in transition. Columbus are very scary, but are having issues, so I don't know what to think about them. Interesting. What do you think?
I think it's Cincinnati and Red Bull are ones that would give me the most fear right now. Because Cincinnati is just so dang good still. And New York, we always have problems with them. And just being able to deal with that insane press that they do, it's always given us problems. We've only recently got the monkey off our back with being able to beat them. But I don't think that is something we can consistently count on happening. It's going to be difficult every time we play them because their strategy is the antithesis to what we do. So it attempts to pick us to pieces. We have to be extremely good, extremely perfect to not let Red Bull get away with what they like to do. So that's why it's a little bit nervy going into a game against them. And on top of that, Red Bull traditionally isn't that good in the standings. They're a perennial playoff team, but they're usually not this high up, at least not now. So that leads me to believe not only are they, using their tactics that give us fits, it seems like they're doing it at an accelerated level this year, which worries me. So yeah, we might, but this is something that we've kind of harped on earlier in the season when we gave the preview of this year. Atlanta's gotten better. We've markedly gotten better. But so has a lot of teams in the East. And Red Bull seem to be a really good example of that. So that worries me a lot. And Cincinnati's just Cincinnati. I don't know when they're going to stop being good. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good points. I think it's also this, though. I think it's both Ohio teams for me. FC Cincy, Columbus. Columbus is going to figure it out. They're just so dangerous. I think Red Bulls, as far as a personal standpoint of against LA United, sure, yeah, like I'm worried there. But New York Red Bulls are New York Red Bulls. I think to me, they are perennial ballers. They are not a team that ultimately does much in the playoffs, and I don't really feel like this early season surge really has shown too much different than than a yesteryear. Yeah, I think they have slightly more clinical players. Lewis Morgan is having an incredible start to the season, but I think it's a little bit of the thing where the Red Bulls with the style that they play, it requires a lot of energy, and to sustain that through the entire season, I think that's the difficulty. So I just don't think that they, quality on the ball wise, will be able to sustain that through the entire season. So from a worrisome standpoint, I don't really worry about them like that. And then another team that we haven't talked about, obviously, is Inter Miami, and the top level talent on that team is just outrageous, and they'll find moments of magic, and I think that's it shows why they're at the top of the standings right now. They're just still whether Messi plays or doesn't play, you still have Luis Suarez and just other top level talent that just puts them over the top, and it's just I think that's a team that I think in terms of winning the East or not, or winning the Supporters Shield, I think that's probably the team that I would be worried about the most, because they just find a way. But next question comes from Henry Higuita. He asks, interested to see y'all answer this question. Which player on the team right now would surprise you the most if you suddenly learned they stream Fortnite on Twitch? He also went on to say, my answer is Dax, which is kind of surprising, yeah, because Dax, being of more of the dad variety, I would say, on the team, playing Fortnite. Yeah, it's like Fortnite is probably a little bit more teenager to early 20s probably right now in terms of that type of age bracket. But who would be your surprise player?
It would blow my mind if Brad Guzan played Fortnite. I would absolutely tune in to watch that stream. That would be hilarious if he did that.
Yeah,
but there's no way in hell. Absolutely no way in hell.
He's got some young kids. I don't know if they're that type of family that would be allowing their kids to play that. So I don't know. But I mean, for me, which player on the team? I mean, yeah, Gregerson is probably the best bet here, but like I would say it would be surprising if Brooks Lennon played, because I don't think he's that type of person. Like, I don't think he's playing video games. I think he's like more of like an outdoors person. He's playing golf. He's doing all these other things, and yeah, streaming. Like, let's just be honest. Like, Brooks Lennon.
If Brooks did play video games, he'd be a Call of Duty guy, 100%.
Probably, but even then, it's like I don't think he's streaming. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't. This is what I'm getting at, is that Brooks Lennon isn't exactly the hallmark of a big personality, or a person that's I think hosting something, in which that's what streams are. And so it's like not sure that would be that would not happen. I feel like that would be the biggest surprise for me. So, but yeah. And then last question comes from, we just lost it on here. Lancillo Green asks, when is it time to lean on the academy? And yeah, as far as that goes, I mean, I think we are, to a degree. Like, you have a Johnny Fortune, a homegrown in the squad. Noah Cobb is a homegrown. You have Caleb Wiley, who's a homegrown. You have some other players that are coming in, Ashton Gordon as well, that's, may get some looks in the near future, maybe not this year, but he definitely is going to be part of the first team next year. Yeah, I mean, up and down the spine, pretty much, you have some players that's, are kind of looking good for kind of filling out the positions on the team. So, I don't really feel like that's really an issue. But how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an issue either, because, it's MLS is a particular league. We have particular rules and way we have things set up that you have to be very, very careful with who you put where. So knowing that, it's hard for me to say, we need to dip into the academy if it doesn't, just to do it, right? I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, it's a good idea in that it's like good advertisement for the academy, because it's like, okay, people are really getting pulled up, and they are, but to get them even more, to do it at a higher clip, it's just for the sake of doing it, I think can put your team perhaps at a disadvantage, considering there's just only so many slots that you can utilize for various kinds, like Gam Tam, thank you ma'am type player slots. So yeah, I think we're doing okay job. I mean, my question back would be, compared to what other team, if you're saying like Philadelphia, Dallas, some of the other academies that are notable, like, are they doing way more than we are? And if they are, it's like, okay, interesting. But if they're not, I mean, I would probably suspect that they're not doing a tremendous more than we are.
All right. And I think that's the thing too. I think you pretty much kind of made the point of that, where, yeah, you don't want to be the team that leans too heavily on your academy when you don't really need to. Like, doing it for just the sake of doing it is not really something that I would say yields end results immediately, because you're having to deal with the growing pains of players versus a little bit more of a finished product of players, and maybe ones that maybe have a little bit of room for growth on them. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, that's what we're kind of going more towards now, is the slightly more finished product, and that we're not having to see them kind of fulfill their potential. They're already near their potential and maybe just need a little bit more, game time, that type of thing. And so it's like the Sean Da Silvas, the Saba Lapsanitzes, those players probably wanted a little bit more playing time and are getting it. Yorgos Giacomakis as well. Definitely a player that was sitting on the bench, but you see how dangerous he is, and, in MLS, a pretty complete player. So definitely, I think more of those, gets us over the top in this league versus, trying to build, like we were doing, players to be sold to Europe. Just not really something that was very effective for us. So anyway, that does it for the mailbag and gets us to the match preview. And 6:30 on Saturday, 4:20. We were playing FC Cincinnati at the Benz. They lost 2-1 against CF Montreal last week. And
Joseph.
Yes, indeed. And in terms of us playing them recently, in October of 2023, we drew them 2-2. And that was a hell of a game. That was a hell of a game. But our last 6, we won 2, drew 3, and have lost 1. So, definitely not too bad in terms of our last record against them. But they still are a dangerous side, and I think that's the thing is, nothing can be taken away from them. They are a tough side. They played us tough at home. They, they're just, wherever they play, at least recently, they're a force to be reckoned with. They're not the wooden spoon team that they used to be at all. But they have lost a few key pieces, some that have come to rule the roost, or rue the roost for them and almost immediately, because Brandon Vasquez moved to Monterrey and he punished them. It was some instant karma there, a little bit, unfortunately for them. But as well, they lost Junior Moreno, Jefferson Mosquera, Santiago Arias, but they did sign, of course, Miles Robinson, also Corey Baird, Pablo Bucha, Luca Oriano. And so, I mean, Miles Robinson, obviously, we know very well, and he's has been called to the U.S. men's national team since then, since he's been with FC Cincinnati. And a little partnership with Matt Miazga as well, who was the reigning MLS Defender of the Year. So definitely a very, very stacked roster. And they've also added, of course, DeAndre Yedlin. So, it's gonna be a tough side to play against, but
their back line is like the entire United States men's national team.
Pretty much, and so it's if and when anything happens for the U.S. men's national team in terms of goals conceded, we can just blame it on FC Cincinnati, because
I'm surprised they didn't go and grab Zach Steffen.
Yeah, right. I know, right? Yeah, that and obviously they can't really bring in Anthony Robinson, but maybe later on.
Yeah.
If he no longer is a Premier League player, well, I'm sure they'll do anything they can to kind of solidify that entire thing. Well, maybe they won't, because that would severely limit them on international breaks. But hey, if you want to do that, by all means. But the predictions from the pundits around the league have them finishing as low as 5th and as high as 1st, which probably checks out. I mean, they're a very stacked roster, and Pat Noonan has them playing some pretty good ball last week, notwithstanding. But they are definitely that team that's pretty complete in a lot of senses, except for the forward line a little bit in terms of kind of finishing some chances at the moment. They're just not quite at the levels that they were last year. Obviously, losing Brandon Vasquez will do that to you, but still defensively pretty stout squad. That's they can play that little ball. They can play where they take shots from distance as well. But I think we can get at them by being pretty aggressive, playing direct, like we have in some past games, and really get at them on transition, and kind of test that defense a little bit, in those moments when we're on the counter. But because we know we have some devastating players that can kind of make that difference. But what are some things that you'd like to see from us playing against them?
I want to see one thing, and that one thing is, for the love of God, close down Lucho Acosta.
Yeah.
Do not let this guy operate. He will hurt you. He does it every time to us. Just don't let it happen. I'm almost okay with tying or losing. Well, not losing, because that would break our undefeated record at home. But just like, I would be okay with tying if at least we stop that man from doing anything. Like if other people end up scoring, it's like, okay, but at least we did our damn job, and that's to keep that guy silent, because he goes on tears and he opens up so much space. It's hard to pin him down and to stop him from creating. He's a creator-in-chief for Cincinnati, and that will be target number 1 for us to stop. And then from there, hopefully, their attack dissolves and we can hurt them. I don't know if we'll play. I mean, it's interesting. Atlanta does this thing where sometimes they'll start playing counterattack focused, and sometimes they'll do their possession focused. I've noticed it's when have our ideal starting 11 that sometimes they'll revert to their counterattacking ways. And sometimes, like when we have the more depth pieces, we do the possession. I mean, we can do it both with both fields of players. However, it just seems to be more weighted for one than to the other. And I'm not sure what will deploy against Cincinnati or what the players will feel, because they have the ability to adapt on the fly depending on what Cincinnati throws at them. So I'm not sure if they will try and absorb a little pressure and then hurt them, or to build out the back possession based like we are kind of known to do traditionally. So it'll be interesting. Cincinnati's a good team. Playing out the back, that sounds a little nervy to me. So if we maybe try with the counterattacking strategy, at least for some part of the game, to throw them off and to hurt them on a counter or in transition, like that would be pretty neat to see. A little flexibility from Pineda and the players, that would be nice. I don't know if Cincinnati would be prepared for that. So we'll see. It's interesting. There's a new arrow in the quiver, per se, for Atlanta United on occasion when we have some players in, and it really, I guess, depends on whether or not those players will make an appearance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's well said. I mean, it's definitely a big thing where when we have our top players, we're just kind of letting them have the reins to the attack and just go at goal as quickly as possible and score as many goals as you can. And maybe that is the case if we can have more of our attack healthy. And that is the question, because yes, you have you had a number of players out last match, and who likely will still be out. Stian Gregerson, he's probably got one more week maybe, as far as his meniscus. Minimum exactly. And Jamal Tiare, probably 2 to 3 more weeks with his hamstring. Williams out probably 1 to 2 more weeks with his calf. Gigi got back into training today. There was apparently a bit of a where it was a break after the past match for most of the players, where maybe there was a little bit of individual training and recovery, but no actual formal training, at least on Monday. And then of course Sean Da Silva as well. I believe he's day to day. So that is the question: who's going to be actually starting? Well, let's get into that predicted starting 11. And easy between the sticks here, Guzan, but also at fullback, probably pretty easy.
Also, I just want to point this out. Tom Boger apparently hasn't been watching Atlanta United in any of their games on his because on his power rankings video he put out, he called for Guzan being benched because we were high in terms of like shots conceded. But first of all, I don't really know how that's Brad's fault, and second of all, Brad's doing pretty damn good when it comes to stopping things. So just say you didn't watch the Atlanta United games, Tom. That's all I'm saying. Just be honest.
Yep, exactly right. It's a tired argument at this point. It's kind of lazy punditry, I would say, in that sense. So, but
I mean, it's but that is not meant with any animosity. I know as one person, it's impossible to follow all the teams and be completely accurate about everything. So, but just be like, you know what? Didn't catch those last couple games, so I'm not quite sure why. That's the case. So, who knows? Start Brad's. Who knows?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm not holding it back. I mean, it's just basically, it's if you didn't watch it, then you shouldn't commentate on it. It's just straight up. But, so Lennon and Wiley at fullbacks, and I think it's probably, it's gonna pick itself at the center back positions. Cobb, Abram as well, just because pretty much both the other two starting center backs are out. Who do you have in midfield? Any surprises?
No.
Yeah, Schleich, Muyumba. I mean, Schleich, like, I hope he's tied to Acosta in this match. And, like tied to his hip. And, don't get too close, obviously, where, don't don't get 2 yellow cards or anything like that. But definitely Muyamba with some of that help, marking him as well. Maybe
speaking
hunting,
of Tristan,
hunting in groups.
He was interviewed before this, and he voiced that the team's pissed that they dropped points against Philadelphia. They're pissed off. So I'm expecting to see Tristan, obviously, to start. And with that, the fire and the revenge in their eyes in this game. That's what I expect to see, and I hope to see them come out guns blazing.
Yeah, take it out on FC Cincy. I would like it. I think the interesting bit is on the wings here. So, of course, Saba on the right, but who's on the left?
Yeah, I mean, if Zonde's available, I would go with him. But yeah, I guess, I mean, he likes to use Tyler Wolf. I just feel like he hasn't done great so far, but I mean, the alternative is perhaps Derek, and I just maybe Pineda gives Derek a shot because of Tyler not doing amazing. But I'm curious to see if Pineda thinks, Tyler's doing good enough at that position. I'm not sure. He might.
And you also have Edwin Mosquera as well.
Yeah, there's also, you could put Edwin all the way over there. But again, it just seems like he's very committed to the idea that he needs an Edwin Mosquera to come on late in order to dominate and devastate a tired back line. That seems to be like his kind of like game ending play. Like, okay, we get a goal, we get 2, maybe it's tied, maybe we're up by 1. Mosquera comes in to put the game away. I think that's his trump card. So I don't know if he wants to get rid of that for this, and so much so that get rid of your kind of your trump card, and because in order for Tyler Wolf to not be out there. And then what do you have if you were to put Mosquera out there? Then you have someone like Tyler Wolf to come in later. And is he someone who puts a game away? I'm not so sure. So sometimes he can be, but I think your better bet is Mosquera. So yeah, I would maybe, if Zonde's available, Zonde. If not, I guess we'll maybe see Tyler again. It would be really weird to see Derek, but I could possibly see it. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I get your standpoint where, maybe that player that brings the energy late in the match, but I feel like we might have some other players that can come in, but I feel like it's always this. I mean, yes, FC Cincinnati, a tough squad. You will need the defensive work to really carry you through, but I feel like it might be Mosquera on the right and then Saba on the left here. And they may switch sides and switch wings, but I think it's for this. It's, you want to win it as early as possible and not, try to belabor the point sometimes, especially at home. Now, if we were on the road, okay, yeah, I think it would be more, okay, who's the most defensive while still providing, attack value. And it would be Sean Da Silva if he's obviously healthy. But I don't think he is. And so, I think Mosquera is that player that would come in on the wings for that. But, Almada in the middle, of course. And, the real question is if GG is healthy. And
at this point, I don't really mind if Daniel Rios plays for us, because he scored last game and he didn't look half bad. He was a little quiet, but not super involved in build-up play as I would be hoping for. But that's to be expected as his real first start. He's still getting acclimated and everything. Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't be like, let's bring out the white flag if Daniel Rios comes on. But I'm hoping. I mean, GG, I mean, they're going to be really cautious with him still, so I would imagine that if he is back this weekend, it'll be limited time, and we will see Daniel Rios.
it's probably more of a cameo for sure. Yeah. So, Daniel Rios, yeah, I mean, he had a decent match. Yeah, exactly. It was from a pressing standpoint, didn't really see him maybe.
He's slow, dude. He's slow.
Exactly. It's not like kind of a massive help from that standpoint, but I think if we play to his strengths, which is Route 1, yeah, I think we might be able to do some of that work here, and I think that plays a part into how we might be able to attack him, because I don't think he's the player that is playing on the counter, but it is where maybe with Mosquera we have that out ball, and then on the counter with that pullback, that's where you can find a player that with a late man run or at the back post with Daniel Rios. I think that's where we can hurt FC Cincy, as long as we can make sure that that safety valve in Miles Robinson, we're not playing to him. So maybe it's we have to switch it. We have to switch it to the other side, where maybe it's Saba playing the ball from the left.
That would be wild to see, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So he has a really decent left foot, so it's not unheard of. But that gets us
unheard of from a Pineda standpoint.
Yeah, probably, but yeah. So that gets us to the score prediction, and what do you got?
I'll say 1-1. That's a tricky one.
Yep.
Because I got it very wrong with the Philadelphia game, which is not normal. That was a strange game. That was that very much flipped the way I view things. Yeah, it was weird. This game, I feel like Cincinnati is going to offer a heck of a lot more than Philadelphia did. Like, for 75% at the beginning of that game, Philadelphia didn't offer that much. They were like a little dangerous here and there, but for the most part, I felt like we handled them. Cincinnati, I think, is going to be a different animal. I think it's going to be more even in terms of possession, more even in terms of attacks and chances on both sides. And they're clinical. You give them chances, they will put some away. So I think it's probably going to be more than 1-1, but I'm hoping we can hold them to 1. And I'm hoping this one might be we claw one back towards the near end.
Yeah, I had exactly the same scoreline. I don't know if I see it going exactly the same way, but I think they'll definitely be a lot more defensively stout in that sense, and I think they'll have learned a little bit from our last match with some of these players too. So like Daniel Rios obviously has played in this kind of division in that sense, so they will know him a little bit as well. It won't be maybe as kind of an unknown quantity in some senses. So hopefully we can get the winner here, but I'm also seeing 1-1. So but guys, that is pretty much the entire episode except for the question of the day. And since we are officially anyway 100 days out from Leagues Cup and 100 days out from the Paris Olympics, well, that means Thiago Almada is going to be away for the Leagues Cup, and I'm asking it now. Do you have high hopes for the Leagues Cup without Thiago Almada? Let us know in the comments below, because that month, it's going to be a big month without our best player. So, let us know in the comments below. Looking forward to what you have to say. But guys, that is the episode there and there. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. For Michael, I'm AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.